Governor Otter says the debate over education is far from over. It's tonight's big story with today's 6 on Your Side.
Ahead of his State of the State address, Governor Butch Otter talked about his goals for the legislative session. All
part of a legislative preview at the state capitol today. Mike Sharp is inside the State House with what the Idaho's chief of state had to say.
Governor Otter says the legislative session will have a familiar top story this year as lawmakers try to tackle education issues one more time at the State House. Idaho's chief executive didn't mince words about what he thinks will be the biggest issue in the 2014 legislative session.
I believe the most important issue, notwithstanding newspaper reports, that we're going to be facing in this legislative session is actually going to be the education.
Legislators will take up 20 recommendations from the governor's education task force that could cost an estimated $350 million. But the governor says after trimming the education budget over the last 5 years, it's time to start refilling those coffers.
And I think we're going to be able to begin this year with a very aggressive fulfillment of that agreement and that promise.
But that goal could be difficult to achieve. Even though members of both parties were represented on the governor's task force for education, lawmakers say it may not be all that easy to get every recommendation passed. Specifically, Common Core standards in education.
And that will be, I believe, a civil war issue within the Republican Party, setting themselves up for the right to fight the far right for the primaries.
But the most powerful Republican on the House side says, unlike the 3 education laws overturned by voters in 2012, the new suggestions are stronger and should make the effort of passage a little bit easier.
I think that there's bipartisan support for that list of recommendations, and I think that that's refreshing, and hopefully that helps the process along and we get something done.
Furthermore, the Speaker says any concern over whether the election year will cause added friction within his own party is overplayed, and the session should go smoothly.
We're here basically to do the people's business, and that happens each and every year, not just every other year.
As for the big question, how long will the session last? The Speaker gave me the number 75 for days he expects, but we'll know better later this month as bills start to come in. In studio, I'm Mike Sharp. Today's 6 on Your Side.
Idaho could be seeing a major change in the way it manages prisons after an announcement today. The governor released today that he is asking the Idaho Board of Correction to stop the process of finding a private company to manage the state's correctional center. Instead, Butch Otter wants the department to operate the prison itself. The Corrections Corporation of America ran the facility since 2000, but that contract expires at the end of June.
It's disappointing, and it's disappointing because I am a champion of privatization. It's disappointing, but I think it's also recognize what's been happening, what has happened. It's necessary.
The governor asked the Board of Correction to find pieces of the operation that could be handled by private companies and to prepare a plan about the upcoming changes as the deadline approaches. Today, 6 on Your Side will have the governor's full State of the State address live on Monday. The halls of the State House will be buzzing with 105 legislators from around the state. The event, scheduled to begin at 1 o'clock Monday, will carry the full speech as well as give you details from behind the scenes about the next steps.